And that central idea of informatica, it's incredibly bold. The core idea is that everything we experience, every single facet of our reality, is fundamentally information.
And that the universe itself is driven by two things: consciousness and frequency.
It's his theory of everything. He's basically asserting that the entire nature of reality is derived from these three interconnected pillars. And Bauer argues that if you don't understand this relationship, you can't make sense of the profound transformative chaos we're all seeing across every global system right now.
So let's start at the beginning then, the origin. How did Robert Bauer come to this massive, all-encompassing realization?
Well, the source material is really clear about this. It wasn't a slow academic buildup. It wasn't years of research in a lab.
Right.
It was a singular, overwhelming event that happened about 4 years ago. He calls it a download in the middle of the night.
But download.
He describes it as this instantaneous flash of complete comprehension. The information was just there, so dense, so fully formed, that he had to act on it immediately. He said he couldn't sleep.
He had to just get it all out.
Had to transfer this entire framework connecting philosophy, physics, history onto paper right then and there. So it's presented less as a theory he came up with and more as a sudden gnosis, an enlightenment event.
And that origin story, it actually mirrors a part of the philosophy itself, which I'm sure we'll get to. This idea that sometimes the universe just skips the slow, linear path of learning and goes straight to realization.
It's a complete package deal, exactly. And importantly, Bauer is very explicit that informatica is not derived from traditional science.
Or established philosophy.
Right. He sees it as a system based purely on observation, just observing the nature and the habits of reality, what he calls the truth.
And this observational approach led him to his core terminology, informatica itself. He defines it as the metrics in the matrix.
And that's a crucial distinction, isn't it? It's not just a catchy phrase.
No, it's the whole architecture.
It is. The argument is that everything in the universe is information. And information, by its very nature, has to have distinction. It has to be quantifiable, defined mathematically or numerically.
But just having the raw information isn't enough to build a reality.
Exactly. That information has to be actively used to build metrics. The rules, the dimensions, the physics, the experiences, all the quantifiable boundaries that make up the reality we inhabit, which he calls the matrix.
So if I'm tracking this, information is like the raw code, and the metrics are the compiled program that we experience as solid or real.
That's a great way to put it. Everything is measured, everything is structured. Which brings us to the source of it all, consciousness.
The engine of the whole system.
The engine. In the Informatica framework, consciousness is everywhere. It's fundamental. It's absolutely necessary. Bauer states very clearly that consciousness is the one thing that if it didn't exist, reality itself would just blink out of existence.
It's that hard problem that all the sciences keep running into.
It is. The shared, singular experience that defies scientific definition. But he pushes past the idea that we just possess consciousness, like it's a feature.
We're not just vessels carrying it around.
No. We are individual, unique frequency stamps. We're signatures of that original, foundational conscious energy. Each of us is a unique expression of this universal conscious field.
And that specialization is key to why the universe exists in the first place. Its need for novelty, for new experiences.
Exactly. And what drives this energy, this is where it gets really interesting. It's not the search for answers.
It's the search for questions. This is his philosophy of curiosity.
It's a really profound idea. He says that consciousness, at its core, is the act of wondering, of asking questions, of recognizing what you don't know. It's that drive toward the unknown, the impulse to reach beyond the edge of what's understood.
It's not about having the answers.
No, it's about the sustained, active process of question.
I think the most challenging part of that concept, for me anyway, is when he calls curiosity a paradoxical survival trait.
Well, yeah, from a strictly biological, evolutionary standpoint, it makes zero sense.
It's inefficient.
Totally. Curiosity wastes energy. It makes you pause and look at something interesting when you should be running from a predator. It pulls your attention away from the basics, eating, fighting, reproducing.
Evolution should have selected against it.
Theoretically, yes. But he argues it's the very thing that drove hominids to become human. It's what drives innovation, exploration, the willingness to be vulnerable in the face of uncertainty.
So our greatest strength is an evolutionary flaw.
In a way. He says the deeper your willingness to ask, what if everything I've been told is wrong? The faster you grow, the faster you evolve consciously.
Wow. That completely reframes the whole idea of personal growth.
Yeah.
So If consciousness is the source of the why, then the how, the mechanism that manifests reality, is frequency.
This is the bridge from the non-physical to the physical. The materium, the world we experience as solid, is manifested by frequency and vibration.